Welcome to your favorite channel for learning everything you need for financial success. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dig into a financial habit that feels so safe, but could actually be costing you a ton of money. We're talking about just letting your savings sit in your checking account. So let's get right into why this super common move might just be the biggest financial mistake you're making.
Okay, I want to kick things off with a really bold statement. Now, this probably sounds a little extreme, right? But stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to see exactly why parking all of your cash in one spot is so risky. It really flips the whole idea of safe money on its head. And look, if you're listening to this and thinking, uh-oh, that's me, you are definitely not alone. Not even close. In Spain, for instance, over 30 million people do the exact same thing. So this isn't about making anyone feel bad. It's just about showing how widespread this misunderstanding is, about how money really works these days. Right, so that brings us to the real heart of the issue, this myth of the safe account. We log in, we see our bank balance, the number looks the same day after day, and we feel secure. But there is a massive difference between your money just being there and your money actually being powerful. Maybe we need to think about this differently. Your checking account isn't some sealed-off vault protecting your wealth. A much better way to picture it is like a bucket with a slow, invisible leak. You don't see the water level dropping each day, but believe me, over months and years, you are losing a lot without even noticing. And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, that's what we all think. My money's safe, it's secure, it's not losing value. But the reality on the right is that the value of that money, what it can actually go out and buy you, is silently shrinking day after day. So what in the world is causing this leak? Well, it's time to meet the culprit. It's this invisible force that a lot of experts call the silent thief of savings. And it works so quietly that, honestly, most of us don't even see the damage until it's years or even decades too late. And yep, that silent thief has a name: inflation. We've all heard the word, but what does it actually do to the money in our pockets? Well, it's pretty simple. It's the slow and steady increase in the price of everything, which just means your money buys you less and less stuff over time. And that is the absolute bottom line. The 10 euros in your account today, well, next year, it's not going to buy you the same amount of coffee or gas or groceries. And the year after that, it'll buy you even less. That is the slow, invisible leak in action. So let's really put some numbers on this to see how big a deal it is. This chart is staggering. Imagine you save 3,000 euros a year, every year for 20 years. If you just leave it in your checking account, inflation grinds its actual value down to about 48,000 euros. But if you invested it and got a pretty standard 6% return, you'd have over 105,000 euros in real buying power. That's a difference of almost 57,000 euros. Just let that sink in for a second. That's not some kind of financial wizardry. That's the real, tangible cost of doing nothing. It's literally the price you pay for letting that silent thief, inflation, just walk away with your future. That is the opportunity cost when your money is just sitting there. But here's the thing. Inflation isn't working alone. Oh no, there are other hidden dangers, let's call them inflation's accomplices, that also threaten big piles of cash that are just sitting in a single checking account. For starters, you've got those little hidden bank fees that just nibble away at your balance. Then you have those massive lost growth opportunities we just talked about. And what about other risks, like your account getting frozen for a security check or a tech outage that locks you out of your own money? And then there's the big one, the risk of the bank itself failing. Now, of course, most countries have some kind of safety net, like the Deposit Guarantee Fund in Europe. But here's the catch. That safety net has a limit. And it's usually around 100,000 euros per person per bank. So if you have more than that sitting in one account at one bank, and that bank goes under, anything over that limit is at risk. Okay, so how do you protect yourself? This table breaks it down perfectly. Look at that first row. If you've got 150,000 euros in one bank, all by yourself, 50,000 of it is totally unprotected. But now look at the next two rows. See the difference? Just by adding a second person to the account or spreading that same amount of money across 3 different banks, you're suddenly fully covered. Diversification isn't just for investing, folks. It's for saving too. So, if letting your money sit idle is the problem, then what's the answer? It's not about taking crazy risks. It's about being smart, being strategic. It's about making your money work for you. instead of letting it slowly work against you. I like to think of it like a toolbox. Your checking account is your hammer. It's perfect for daily jobs like paying bills and buying stuff. It's all about easy access. But you wouldn't use a hammer to saw a piece of wood, right? For your big, long-term goals like retiring someday or buying a house, you need different tools. You need savings and investment accounts. Those are the tools that are actually designed for growth. And let's be absolutely crystal clear about this. The solution is not to have zero money in your checking account. Of course not. You need cash for your daily life. The real key here is to create a separation, like a firewall, between the money you used to live on and the money that's going to build your wealth. So how do you actually do that? Well, let's wrap this up with a simple 3-step action plan that you can use to put all this into practice and really start building a much more secure financial future for yourself. Okay, step 1, build your emergency fund. This is your safety net. Get 3 to 6 months of your living expenses and put it in a separate, easy-to-access savings account. Done. Step 2, define your long-term goals. Give your money a mission. What's it for? Retirement? A house? Getting that clarity is absolutely crucial. And finally, step 3, put the rest of your savings to work. And the key is to automate it. Set up a recurring transfer from your checking account to your investment accounts every single month. Pay yourself first and make growing your money the default setting. And that really just leaves us with one final important question to ask yourself. Is your money just sitting there, losing its power little by little every day? Or is it actively out there, fighting inflation and building the future that you actually want? The choice and the opportunity is all yours. Thanks for tuning in.
Before we finish, let me give you a few tips. And remember that we upload videos every day.
Hey there, if you've decided that 2026 is going to be the year you finally get a handle on your debt, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to build a clear, actionable plan to help you take back control of your finances. For good.
Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off with a number that might hit a little close to home. According to Experian, the average debt for a consumer in the US is over $100,000. So if you're feeling that weight, the very first thing you need to know is you are not by any means alone in this.
And let's be real, it's never just about the numbers, is it? It's a heavy weight. It's that knot in your stomach that can mess with your sleep, your relationships, your whole sense of well-being. It is a constant nagging stress.
But what if this year is different? What if 2026 is the year you decide to stop letting that number call the shots? What if this is the year you finally make a plan to fight back and actually win? That's exactly what we're here to do. Because you know what? Getting out of debt isn't some kind of magic trick. It's about having a strategy. So come on, let's build your plan right here, right now.
So every good plan starts with knowing your starting point. And when it comes to debt, that means figuring out exactly where you stand. Okay, first step, time for some radical honesty. You need to make a list of every single debt you have. I'm talking credit cards, car loans, student loans, the whole shebang. For each one, write down these details and pay very close attention to that interest rate, the APR. That little number is the real villain of the story. It's what tells you how much each debt is really costing you.
All right, once you've got that list, you've hit your first big fork in the road. You've got to choose your game plan. And it really boils down to a classic showdown. What's more important to you, the math or the motivation? This breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you have the debt snowball. This one's all about psychology. You attack your smallest debt first, no matter the interest rate. Why? To get that quick win, that feeling of, yes, I did it, which fuels you to keep going. Then you have the debt avalanche. This is pure, cold, hard math. You target the debt with the highest interest rate, which will, without a doubt, save you the most money over time. So, which one is right for you? Look, the best method is the one you'll actually stick with. It's that simple. If you know that you thrive on quick wins and you'll get discouraged otherwise, the snowball is your friend. But if the very idea of paying one extra penny in interest to a bank makes you furious, then the avalanche is your weapon of choice. Now, no matter which strategy you pick, snowball or avalanche, there are ways to kick things into high gear. Let's talk about the tools that can supercharge your journey. To throw extra money at your debt, you first have to find that extra money. And that means a budget. The 50-30-20 rule is a super simple way to start. 50% of your income goes to what you absolutely need, 30% goes to what you want, and that last 20%, that's your power play fund. That's for savings and, more importantly right now, for making those extra debt payments. And of course, the other side of the coin from budgeting is boosting your income. Even a temporary side hustle can make a huge difference. Think about it. Every single dollar you make from some freelance work or selling stuff you don't need anymore can be thrown like a grenade right at your debt principal.
Here's another powerful tool: debt consolidation. The idea is pretty straightforward. You take a bunch of your high-interest debts and roll them all into one new loan that hopefully has a lower interest rate. Not only does this save you money, but it just simplifies your life. One payment instead of 5. Just remember, this tool helps you organize the fight. It doesn't win it for you.
Okay, let's get into some of the bigger guns. If you're looking at your debt list and feeling like it's a really big mountain to climb, you might need a more powerful tool.
Here's a little secret a lot of people don't know. You can often just ask for a lower interest rate on your credit card. Seriously, here's the basic script. You call them up, you remind them you've been a good customer with on-time payments, and you politely ask for a rate reduction. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They say no? That one 5-minute phone call could save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars.
Now, for people in a really tough spot, there's something called debt settlement. And the promise, as you can see, is incredibly tempting. Pay just a fraction of what you actually owe. It sounds almost too good to be true, right? Well, here's the catch, and it's a big one. First, debt settlement will absolutely wreck your credit score for years. And second, that money the creditor forgives, the IRS usually sees that as taxable income, so you could get hit with a surprise tax bill. It can be a lifeline for some, but you have to go in with your eyes wide open to the consequences. Now, if that all sounds way too intense, but you still feel like you need an expert in your corner, check out credit counseling. These are usually nonprofit organizations with certified counselors who are like financial coaches. They'll help you build a realistic plan and can even work with your creditors on something called a debt management plan to lower your rates. You know, getting out of debt isn't a quick sprint. It's a marathon. So the last and maybe most important piece of the puzzle is figuring out how you're going to stay motivated when that first burst of energy starts to fade. Here are 3 simple keys. First, don't just stare at the huge final number. Break it down into smaller goals, like pay off the first 1,000. Second, when you hit one of those goals, celebrate. Give yourself a small, budget-friendly reward. And third, find someone to tell. Having an accountability partner, someone you can share your wins and struggles with, is an absolute game changer. So there you have it. That's the framework. That's how you can make 2026 the year you become debt-free. But remember, a better financial future doesn't just start on January 1st. It starts the moment you decide to act. So the only real question left is, what's your first step going to be?
We upload videos every day. Subscribe and become part of the family. See you tomorrow.